Ladies and gents, this is the unadulterated, unfiltered, no commentary first quarter 2021 earnings call. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to play some music. I'm going to tell you that GameStop just announced a new CEO and CFO, that the 8K looks swell all across the board. We have been covering it on the live stream, as well as the fact that AMC just finished a share count and it has a 4.1 million mark. Even if we count the 80% of AMC investors that have 120 average shares, that is close to entire ownership of the float. So now for some music and the sounds of Ryan Cohen. Here we go. And by the way, we are going to do that giveaway for 100,000 subscribers. If you haven't yet subscribed and pressed that bell button, this is your chance, because it really is an opportunity to join the Moon Platoon. We got swag giveaways, we have merch, we have one-on-one consultations. If you want to look at my six-figure portfolio, if you want to be able to talk about your investment strategies, that's one of the best ways to get onto it. So, Super Javi, all of you right now, let's get into it. I could listen to this all day. I feel like we are in the 2:01. We're a minute late, and we are just waiting around for Ryan Cohen to come around.
Greetings, and welcome to the GameStop first quarter fiscal 2021 earnings conference call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. If anyone should require operator assistance during the conference, please press *0 on your telephone keypad. As a reminder, this conference is being recorded. It is now my pleasure to introduce your host, Eric Cerny, Investor Relations. Thank you, Mr. Cerny. You may begin.
Thank you, and welcome to GameStop's first quarter fiscal 2021 earnings conference call. This call will include forward-looking statements, which are subject to various risks and uncertainties that could cause actual results to differ materially from expectations. Any such statements should be considered in conjunction with the cautionary statement and the safe harbor statement in the earnings release and risk factors discussed in reports filed with the SEC. GameStop assumes no obligation to update any of these forward-looking statements or information. A reconciliation and other information regarding non-GAAP financial measures discussed on the call can be found in the earnings release issued earlier today, as well as the investors section of our website. Joining me today is GameStop's Chief Executive Officer, George Sherman. On today's call, George will discuss our business and strategic initiatives, followed by a review of the financial results. Please note that we will not be doing a Q&A session at the end of this call. Now I would like to turn the call over to the company's Chief Executive Officer, George Sherman.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining our first quarter fiscal 2021 earnings call. GameStop is off to a strong start to the year from both a sales and operations perspective. First quarter sales grew 25% year over year, and we ended the period with $771 million in total cash on the balance sheet, an increase of more than $185 million compared to last year. Throughout the first quarter, we also took a number of steps that align with our previously stated priorities. These steps include adding retail and technology talent to our senior leadership team by appointing a Chief Operating Officer, Chief Growth Officer, and Chief Technology Officer. We also made a number of other senior hires across brand, merchandising, e-commerce, supply chain, and fulfillment. Each of these new additions have proven backgrounds and experience from companies such as Amazon, Google, and Chewy. Second, we further strengthened the company's balance sheet by raising more than $550 million in net proceeds from our April ATM program. We also eliminated our long-term debt with a voluntary early redemption of our 2023 senior notes. Third, we expanded our fulfillment network by adding a 700,000 square foot facility in York, Pennsylvania. This new distribution center, which is expected to be operational by the fourth quarter of this year, will enhance our order fulfillment capabilities on the East Coast. Lastly, we continue to expand our product offering by adding natural extensions such as PC gaming, computers, monitors, game tables, and gaming TVs, just to name a few. We intend to continue taking steps to evolve the business and build a world-class technology infrastructure while simultaneously capitalizing on the emerging console cycle. Today, we also announced a new ATM offering through a prospectus filing to offer up to 5 million shares of our common stock. The company intends to use any net proceeds for general corporate purposes, as well as for investing in growth initiatives and further strengthening the balance sheet. Before I review the financial results for the quarter, I'd like to comment on this afternoon's press release announcing the hiring of a CEO and a permanent CFO. Matt Furlong, our incoming CEO, has an impressive background from Amazon, where he most recently led Australia and oversaw significant growth in that region. Matt is a proven e-commerce leader with a firm understanding of how to delight customers. His focus, intensity, and work ethic will set the right tone atop the company as we begin shifting to a growth phase. He also brings a strong understanding of brand and retail from his tenure at Procter & Gamble, where he began his career. Mike Recupero, our incoming permanent CFO, also joins us from Amazon, where he was most recently CFO of North American Consumer and CFO of Prime Video. Mike spent nearly 2 decades at Amazon and held a variety of senior finance roles across the organization. His experience helping business lines scale and achieve market leadership is exactly what we need going forward. I look forward to working with Matt and Mike to ensure seamless transitions in the coming weeks. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Diana Jage for her guidance and willingness to take on additional responsibilities during her time as interim CFO. Diana will return to her role as Chief Accounting Officer within the finance organization once Mike officially joins. Now turning to our financial results. Net sales for the quarter increased 25.1% to $1.3 billion, compared to $1 billion in the prior year period. Importantly, we achieved this growth with a roughly 12% reduction in the global store fleet due to our strategic dedensification efforts and the continued store closures in Europe during the quarter due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Overall, gross margins were 25.9%, down 180 basis points from 27.7% in the fiscal first quarter last year. The decline was primarily driven by an expected increase in mix of lower margin sales. From an SG&A perspective, our reported SG&A expenses were $370.3 million, reflecting a decline of $16.2 million or 4.2% versus the reported SG&A in the first quarter last year, and an 880 basis point improvement on a percent to sales basis. Adjusting for severance, transformation, and other costs, our adjusted SG&A declined $29.5 million or 7.7% year over year and reflects nearly 10 percentage points of sales leverage. We reported an operating loss of $40.8 million compared to an operating loss of $108 million in the prior year first quarter. Adjusted operating loss was $21.6 million compared to a loss of $98.8 million in the prior year period. Income tax in the first quarter was an expense of $1.3 million, which compares to an income tax expense of $50.4 million in the prior year first quarter. Our effective income tax rate for the quarter was 2% and impacted by valuation allowances recorded in prior periods, as well as the mix of earnings across the jurisdictions in which we operate. We reported a net loss of $66.8 million or $1.01 per diluted share, compared to a net loss of $165.7 million or a loss per diluted share of $2.57 in the prior year first quarter. Our adjusted net loss was $29.4 million or 45 cents per diluted share, compared to adjusted net loss of $157.6 million or a loss of $2.44 per diluted share in the fiscal 2020 first quarter. In the first quarter, we continued to focus on strategically de-densifying our global store fleet, closing a net total of 118 stores in the quarter. At quarter end, we operated 4,698 stores across the globe. Turning to the balance sheet, we ended the quarter with cash and restricted cash of $770.8 million, $186.9 million higher than the end of the first quarter last year. Overall debt levels compared to the first quarter of last year were reduced by $504 million and reflect the redemption of $202 million of senior notes due in 2021, the voluntary early redemption of $216.4 million of 10% senior notes due in 2023, and the $135 million paydown of the company's asset-based revolving credit facility. At the end of the quarter, we had no borrowings under our asset-based revolving credit facility, no long-term debt, and $48.1 million of short-term debt, which is a low-interest loan from the French government offered to us through the equivalent of the CARES Act in the U.S. related to the response to COVID-19. Capital expenditures for the quarter were $14.7 million. In the first quarter, cash flow from operating activities was an outflow of $18.8 million, an increase of $30.5 million compared to an outflow of $49.3 million during the same period last year. In terms of our outlook, we remain optimistic about both the emerging console cycle and our future. We recognize business risks remain elevated due to the pandemic and post-pandemic uncertainty, and we are not providing specific annual sales and earnings guidance. We are pleased with our start to the year and strong sales in May, which were up approximately 27% year over year. We remain focused on positioning GameStop for long-term growth as we prioritize delighting our customer and providing a differentiated and superior customer experience. Finally, given this is my last time speaking with you as GameStop CEO, I want to share that I'm very proud of what we have accomplished over the past 2 years, including navigating the pandemic and positioning the company with strong liquidity and an improved platform for growth. It's been a privilege to lead so many dedicated and talented team members who collectively possess tremendous passion for the gaming industry. We have helped bring stability and strength to the business, including by densifying our store footprint, reducing cost and debt, and returning our company to growth. I also want to take this opportunity to thank our customers for their belief in us and an amazing group of shareholders who have so demonstrably exhibited their support for us. I look forward to working with our newly appointed board and leadership team going forward. Thank you again for your support and your interest in GameStop.
This concludes today's conference. You may disconnect your lines at this time. Thank you for your participation and have a wonderful evening.
No questions again. Watch this right now. I'm already seeing the peak of it. Do not be even a little bit scared right now. Do not even be a little bit scared. Hold your hats right here, right? We don't give financial advice. We don't cave when it comes to, again, GameStop having the opportunity to tell us, Ryan Cohen, to give us a little sign of what Matt Furlong is trying to say. Even the CFO. I would talk to the interim CFO right now, other than Mr. George Sherman, the outgoing CEO, just told us he is talking to us for the very last time. Let's go over not only what we just heard, but what is likely going to happen tomorrow. And then finally, that giveaway of celebrating 100,000 subscribers that we just passed 2 days ago, as well as a trick from Meatball. That's right, you're happy that you stood all the way until the end of this video because we are gonna see Meatball do a trick at the end of this video. So once again, let's talk about what we just heard. Mr. George Sherman comes on. I even had a section dedicated to George in my notes, and I'm like, George is gonna talk here, and then we're gonna have other people talk. Okay, he said that GameStop a couple of months ago, gosh, time has been passing by, paid off its debts. Its senior notes are out of here, kind of like moving out of your parents' home and finally paying off your college debt. GameStop is ready to mambo. He also talked about densification, right? Europe had multiple closures due to the pandemic, so that's why it essentially decided, hey, if it's not the right time for us to do something, and it's maybe not the right time for all of us to play nice with the entire world. Let's focus our efforts, and I'm glad to see that focus is the name of the game right here. Having brand new leadership with the new board that Ryan Cohen is ushering in, and he is chair. He is chair, so we're hopefully going to have more Ryan Cohen in the near future. I was expecting to batten down the hatches. I was expecting to batten down the hatches and see GameStop have some scare of hedgy action, but no, it's just still having a fun time playing around with the resistance and supports, actually obeying the laws of technical resistance and support here. Well, okay. Once again, as a reminder, GameStop does have two new C-suite members, the CEO, Matt Furlong, and the CFO, Mike Recupero. AMC has also announced the fact that 4.1 million shareholders are eligible to vote, and out of 80% of those shares held by the apes here, an average holding of 120 shares. If Adam Aaron can confirm whether that means that apes truly do own the entire float, then it comes back down to the logic of what do you do when you have the entirety of the hands at the poker table known. Everybody is holding the same cards, and the only person preventing the mother of all short squeezes when those hedge funds come knocking at your door and saying, hey, please, can I get that tasty share that you have promised, because we need to cover those shares, it's coerced buying, and you say no, that is the very foundation of the mother of all short squeezes. All right, let's do that giveaway and then come back to a couple more of the price action before we are finished. The price action, I'm assuming, is going to reel or perhaps at least react to that earnings call, unless everyone on earth is used to these earnings call essentially just being a repetition of the 8K. Let's have the earnings call just be let's have the giveaway just be everyone on here that has pressed that subscribe button, press that bell button, just say, I love Meatball, and that's all you need. Meatball perked up as well. Comment down below in the live stream, I love Meatball, and even after the stream is over, I'll still go back in the comment section, pick someone to win. So go down and say, I love Meatball, first person that gets to that bell, right? I'm gonna be able to drop them into the earnings table. The people that get to win this raffle. Let's see it. Looks like the very first person that says I love Meatball is the Hairy Texan. Proud to say that. The Hairy Texan, you are the winner of this giveaway. We're gonna keep it nice and simple because we have a lot to cover. So we have a lot of I love Meatballs in here. You can still say I love Meatball. Remember, coming back after the stream is over and commenting down in the description, I love Meatball, and I'll still pick someone from the comment section as well. All right, so let's start talking about the overall what just happened. Thank you guys for staying this long. Oh, I did promise that we do have Meatball doing a trick that you have never seen before. So we've had Meatball dab, we've had him play dead, we've had him stand on his hind legs, we haven't seen him run in a circle. And I'm wondering how he's gonna be able to do that on this bookshelf. So if you guys wanna be able to find out, let's see. I need to start moving some of this stuff. And move some of this stuff. Meatball, come down here. So I need to have to come down here for a second. Come on. Good boy. Meatball, come back. All right, for this treat here. People really loving that Meatball here. All right, Meatball, for this treat, would you please do, don't knock anything, Meatball. Please do a donut. Donut, Meatball. Donut. He's not sure if he can. Donut. Good boy. And as always, my name is Andrew. See you in the money.